What's up, guys? It's your boy, DopeRandy, back at it again with the third race of Dortmund Autosport. If you happen to miss the last episode, we went to Saudi Arabia and we qualified pretty good in P14, and then your boy Daniel Ricardo just decided to end our hopes and dreams, shatter them like rocks through glass, and just relegate us back to P20, like the first race. So, here's to a better race inbound. But we got a couple of things to do. First off, last episode we see that we have a void in the secondary sponsor. We're obviously gonna do it, and we're gonna get a team, and we're gonna get a sponsor right now. Now, as I look at all of these sponsors, I feel like I have to be realistic and have to pick something that we can easily complete. Because right now, as you can see, we are at the bare bottom. Like, I can't expect anything, which is quite sad. But that's where we at. That's where we are at. So, I know we can complete 10 laps of practice every week. So, and I saw 2 of them. So it's either Jinshin or Painite. And it looks like we're gonna go... It's literally the same, but this is a $20,000... 20,000 more of a... Well, technically 19.75 more of a signing bonus. So we're going to go with Painite. 10 laps of practice, and that's going to be our sponsor. A secondary sponsor, if you will. And I see that... Oh, and the second thing we're going to do... 1484 resource points. We're going to go ahead and just use them up too. Heck yeah. So I feel like what we ought to do is just go one at a time here. Because it's coming. It's in development. So we need to get this up. Yeah. So we'll just go the next one down, and the floor stiffening stay position is what we can do. Bet. And that will be that. So I think we're ready to rock it. They took the freaking stickers off my car, which I've noticed. I don't know why they do that. Let me just put them on here real quick. Alright, so... I like that. Yeah, so now we have sponsors, we have our points, and our money. Let's rock and roll. Oh, and I didn't do any.
To increase our acclaim, more
that's fine.
partners become willing to work with us. We can now approach an additional sponsor from the corporate tab.
Which I thought one step ahead of you, boss. See, see, my guy, I'm playing freaking checkers. No, I'm playing chess while you're playing fucking checkers, mate. So, let's tackle the land of the kangaroo. I'll see y'all for qualifying.
Drop to P11.
Appreciate the message. As we go out for qualifying, and something I've noticed right off the bat is this track, it is fast and it is all about what you can get. And if we have a good quali session, that can go a long way. With that said, if we win off practice data, I doubt we're gonna get P14 again, unfortunately, like we did in Saudi, but this Sector 1 here doesn't look too bad. Wasn't bad. As we go down this huge long straight, one of the longest in F1, into this S that we kill. So wait a minute, boys. You know, we're nailing all of these corners. The goal is to not get last. That's always the goal. Do not get last. And as we come out of the final corner, this ought to be interesting. I mean, it looks like we're going to hit. So, we beat both of the Sauber cores. We destroy our teammate.
Okay,
That's...
you've only got 1 lap of fuel remaining.
Oh, I'm not doing another lap. But yeah, let's get into... Let's get it in the let's get it in the garage here. And how about that?
Race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
Moment of truth. P19 on the grid. We were that close, but that's alright. I don't know what happened to Sargent, but he and oh boy. But P19, it's not. You know, I will say we have not qualified on the. Yeah, we have not qualified on the second on the we have not qualified on the last row of the grid, which is fine. Verstappen continues to dominate. He won the last race, qualifying by 3.5 tenths. He won qualifying, so we'll get into the race.
This circuit missed a few years off the F1 calendar, and we missed Albert Park. So welcome back, and it's great to be back in Melbourne. Welcome to the Australian Grand Prix. The Melbourne circuit is certainly one that needs to be taken seriously. It's a combination of slippery surfaces and difficult corners, making it a very tricky track when it comes to overtaking. Drivers find it hard to pass and will need to take full advantage of those DRS zones if they want to have any hope of breaking through. It's time to take a look at our starting grid. So I'm sure there'll be plenty to talk about this afternoon, and who's going to talk about it with us? None other than Naomi Schiff. Hi, Naomi. As we all know, every single driver wants to know what's required of them. And in the case of this driver, I think things are pretty stable at the moment. They're doing what the team require. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, every driver certainly has their own way of preparing themselves before a race. But I can tell you that pre-race rituals are a real thing. When I was in go-karting, I used to touch every wheel in a specific sequence before I got into the kart. And then I stepped up to cars and had a specific set of fireproof base layers just for race day. So watch the drivers when they're on the grid. Some may be sitting on the floor and isolating, others may be up to other things that they do. But these little things really help their minds get ready for the race.
I know you're gutted to be starting from here, but just focus on putting that and some other cars behind you. Good luck.
Appreciate all of the F1 team and then my strategist, Mark, for all the kind words and regards. But we are now on the grid in Melbourne for our formation lap. From the lane down under known as Australia. And see, I feel like this can be a race that is very similar to Saudi Arabia, our last Grand Prix.
Technical issues coming off the watch the RPM on the full stop.
It's a narrow, where the commentator said, it's a fast, narrow street course. Very hard to pass, so you have to take advantage of what you can get right off the rip. So my game plan here, let me just show you the game. The game plan is to try to maximize our position right off the start within the first, like 2.5 sectors of the first lap. Because once we come back around to the flag, everyone's going to be strung out. So we got to get a great start. And number 2, the mission of the entire race is to try to see what we got. Try to be better than the last race. And that's just something we're going to have to do as the season progresses. That we're going to have to just find a way to get better and better as each race plays out. Now, I will say this. The qualifying pace. So, Bahrain, it was meh. I'm pretty sure we qualified P19 for that race, too. Bahrain, it was really surprising, is the word to use. P14. And this race back to P19. So, we just have to focus on this part of the race now. As we've done our formation lap, we're going to get into the gates here. That's fine, only 8/10 of a meter off. Here we go. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights and away we go. From Australia. We are even with all of them. As we go into the first corner, we gotta lock up the brakes. We're side by side with K-Mag. I skateboard on the curb like 3 times. Lose all of my momentum, and that's not what we want. So we gotta throw it in. Gonna try to go on the high line, but I get into the grass. And then Hulkenberg just cuts us off, and I cut off my teammate. So I was literally just saying how I needed to have a good start. And I needed to make some... Oh, as we get really loose right there. I needed to have a good start because I needed to maximize what I could. Well, we skateboard on the curb. And then we get into the grass due to lack of lateral grip. And there goes our... any chance of that. But I see, oh, they check up. I'm going to throw it in on Hulkenberg, and I'm side by side of him all of a sudden, but he clears me for now. But we're going to get a good run off the corner. We're going to just launch it in side by side with Nico. The Haas, side by side, and we're clear. He has to lift. So we do get one overtake in this race. Into our normal spot of P20. Yeah, if you've missed the first 2 episodes, we have qualified in P20. I mean, we have finished in P20 in both races up to this point. Which is really something, I'd say. So let's just see if we can somehow get the Logan Sargent. But I think the lack of grip that we have, and that goes back to our aerodynamics and just all of the combustion parts of the car is going to really... This is where it's going to hold us, is this track. But We're hanging on. Oh, check up, and I have to... Well, I got wing damage. That sucks. Yeah, someone checked up there. And I had nowhere to go and just run into the back of Sergeant. That's American on American crime right there. Okay, we just don't have the grip. Like, these guys can stop, drop on a dime. I can't. But it's getting there. That was smooth. But problem is, I'm gonna have to defend Hulkenberg. We let him go on the outside. He's still on our outside. Now he's on the inside, and we fight it off for now. But we're fighting as we get really close to the wall. Oh, as I get high, and there goes. Well, son of a biscuit eater. We get into the grass and the gravel, and I lose all my momentum. And I had no DRS either, so that's just the double whammy. Like, I try to fight with my teammate for last. We get around him. But yeah, we basically lose Nico. And our teammate is no sub. I said we gotta fight this. We barely touch wheels. But yeah, now he's completely gone. And I basically just drive it in on Jono, and we're gonna get the spot back. But man, starting lap 4 in both the Dortmund Autosport course. Oh, and well, he tries to go like, buddy. Like, Dortmund Autosport at the pack of the pack. Like, I didn't expect it to be this quick, as I am just... And, I mean, this is probably why, though, the lack of grip in this part of the track is really showing in terms of performance and my heart rate. Of course, we already have a damaged wing, if you will. So that sucks. And then Oatmeal finally is going to complete the pass, because I just ran out of battery. This is what it feels like to be the slowest car on the track, huh? But nah. Oh, now we're into the gravel. Oh, Lord. And now we're off into the... Okay. Randall, you just need to calm down here. Like, this is just getting bad. Like, this feels like a freaking... I don't... So we just need to settle down. Try to see if we can do anything about this. Anything, and we got a couple of good corners here. We already gained 2 tenths back on Jono. That corner's going to be the death of me. I can just feel it. But yeah, we're already under a second already. But the problem is we don't have DRS. Because we missed it by literally, I think it was 6 tenths of a second. There we go. As we climb back in on our teammate. Now see, this is what a good lap looks like. And... Oh, well, don't. And see, we go from 1.5 seconds to 1.1 seconds. And that's all you want, really. Oh! As again, we have to catch it, or if I don't catch it, it's going straight into the fence. And that is... Okay. So, in order to learn and attain data, we're gonna have to keep these cars on the track as... Oh, Lord, I am trying, people. I am trying. But... Oh, Lordy. It's literally... The first part is Sector 1 to heal.
3 seconds.
It's Sector 1 and all the way to the third DRS zone on the track. It's in Sector 2. That is going to be the death of me. Cause yeah, freaking, I can't do, these tires do not want to grip underneath this core, and it shows. As it looks like something happened to Ocon.
Caution.
Okay.
Flag.
And Ocon is going to slowly get back going. Right in front of me. As I try to make a pass, he defends the inside. He's going to have to perform the line, cuts me off in the process. As I think he got wrecked. He had to have. And then,
Damage to your front
well,
wing. Suggest we box to check.
oh, this thing is a dump truck now. Holy shit. Okay. So now we got a busted wing. Literally all because of the dirty ale from the Alpine. And it made us get understeer. And understeer, you have to apply more brake. And when you don't, when you are already inches from the wall, and you have understeer, pop. So I've got two options here. Cause now I can't even go. Like the lack of speed I already had, you can pretty much triple that. Because of that red busted up wing. So I have two options. I could have either pitted right there and just take my losses and move on and basically concede the rest of this race. Or I could try to play this out, get to the pit stop and make the changes there. In the event that a safety car happens or a VSC even happen, or even a VSC. And I'm going to decide that I'm going to take my chances. Because, and here's something I haven't thought about. At Bahrain, and at Saudi Arabia, and through the first 7 and so laps of this race, we have not had a safety car this year. Not even a virtual safety car. We haven't had one full course caution this season. So at some point, it's got to come out. And I'm just going to take my chances because Australia, as you have seen, it looks relatively tame. But again, sectors 1 and all the way up into the third DRS zone in sector 2, it can be sketchy really quickly if you don't know how to take it. Its sample A is my dumbass in this Dortmund Autosport car. Literally, and I mean, and if you could probably see it, it was bound to happen. But it finally did. And that is why we've gone for the... Well, and it almost happens again. Yeah, this wing is not helping. Oh, I can't... Oh, my lord. And now I have no momentum and nothing. No anything. you have to think about it like this. So if I pit, it takes about 25 seconds for me to get a pit stop. Well, actually, you got to add about 5. So a normal pit stop is about 23 seconds. Add in the fact that we got to have a busted up wing, so that's about another 5. You're looking at around 28 to 29 seconds. I would lose on the track. Heel, I mean, it happened on lap 7 or 8. We all losing time, but we're only losing 2 or 3 seconds a lap. That was much better, but still not perfect the way I think it ought to be. And then Mark over here with the most obvious statement of the day, we're going to start losing tire grip. No dip, Sherlock. But yeah, well, if we're only losing 2 to 3 seconds a lap, which is unfortunate, but that's where we're at. It would have to take about 10, well heck, to cover the 28 seconds, if I lost 3 seconds, we'll say, it'd take me 9 laps to lose it. To get to the same time. And I can wheel this thing. We're gonna pit in a couple of laps anyway. Like I could have, yeah, just a handful of laps would have been fine. But if we don't get a safety car, then our race is killed. I think it kind of looks killed already, to be frank. Because yeah, we're 22 seconds back, 22 and a half back to Hulkenberg. 15 to Ocon. Our teammate is Thale, but still. That's the corner that's killing us the most. Because it's not necessarily that port, but it's this long straightaway. And we have no speed, no momentum going into it, and it's showing bad. But and another problem that I'm noticing is the fact that literally I'm looking at the track map at the bottom left corner of your screen, and I see, like, if you look at it, you can just see Verstappen and Perez in the 2 Red Bulls, they have chopped off at least half the track already on me, which is not good at all. So our streak of finishing on the lead lap in these races could come to an end if there's not a freaking safety car in the next little bit. Which, let's see. Everyone is still bunched up together. Kind of. But I think it's time to come in for our pit stop at this time. So we're trying to push here. Trying to, at least. And we get through the sector 3. We almost hit the tires again. We almost hit the sand again. And yeah, here we go. As we go down to 50 miles an hour. As we get a pretty smooth... Oh, that was smooth. And yeah, we do have to fix the wing, so it's a 7.7 second pit stop.
Fantastic stop, faster than we were expecting. Look after these tyres now. You want to
Unfortunate.
this compound.
And now it really shows. Because I know they got a pit, but the Red Bull is literally on the same, is almost on the same straightaway as me. And that is not the move at all. It's now we gotta warm up these tiles, and that could be an adventure. But at least we're not pushing aero tight now because of a lack of a front wing. And that's all I wanted. So now we can go to town, kind of. But the problem is, we're too far out compared to everyone else to get data. The only person I guess we can kind of see what we got is against Jono. And he's going to be... It ain't like we can pass him. Unless he has a problem. And I tell you what. The possibility of finishing last is becoming a distinct possibility if nothing happens in the last half of this race. Because yeah, you have Ocon about 27 seconds ahead of us. Well, it's actually going down, but it's still going to be in the mid-20s. There's the understeer that Mark told us about on the bottom. That would have been nice to know. But yeah. Ocon, we set it to about 27 seconds. Give or take a tenth. Altmeer's in the pits. Hulkenberg is now in the pit. So we're going to find out just how far back we actually are. Which I'm not expecting Altmeer to be really... to be even... I expect him to be in a different zip code, to be frank. But you can see we're driving better. Fastest lap of a 122.73. So that's something. Problem is that Jono is literally 18.5 seconds ahead of us. And in 14 laps, I don't think I'm catching a second a lap. It'd have to be more than a second a lap. And then Matt's over here does a 120. Oh, lordy. And then Alonso does a 120, 120.6. So that's just great. But yeah, Altmeer with an 18.5 seconds ahead of us. Oh, boy. So now the goal is, I guess, try to cut into this gap, hope for a safety car, and see what happens. And, I mean, you can see the blue dot of Verstappen. Just got past the third DRS, and he's about to enter that S. So, yeah, I'd say we're probably getting lapped today. We're probably getting lapped today. And all I can do now is just hope for the best. As we do run a fast lap again of a 122.638. I mean, but that's still 2 seconds behind Alonso's fastest lap, which is kind of sad. But it is what it is. Speaking of being it is what it is, as we get into the grass, I think it's time for our race segment, the daily race segment of figuring out where we are at and learning more about where we're at. I still need to find a name for this segment. If you have a suggestion, drop it in the comments down below. What can we name this part of the race? Because unfortunately, it seems like we've been by ourselves lately. All three races, the second half of the race, we've been by ourselves. And it leads to just a bunch of time. But it wouldn't have, I will say this, it wouldn't have mattered if, oh, so we get loose right there. It wouldn't have mattered if we were fighting for the lead or fighting for 22nd or fighting for 21st on the grid. We are going to do these segments because I think it's very interesting to know where we're racing at and how this land got to heel. And also the football, because yeah, it's the world sport, and it's time. And I mean, we gotta embrace it. Embrace the Lord's game. So, Australia. In terms of its football history, so it's meh to say. They haven't won the World Cup or anything. They've qualified. On the men's side at least. They all 20. So this is the highest. So we've had Bahrain, we've had Saudi Arabia, and now Australia. And easily, up to this point, Australia is the highest of the FIFA World Rankings, as they are number 24 in the FIFA World Rankings at this point in time. And they're actually 4th in the AFC, the Asian Football Confederation. As you can see, Japan is 18th, 18 is Japan, Iran 20th, and South Korea is just in front of them in P23. And then you have Australia in P24. And up until about 2 years ago, they were in the mid to late 30s and even early 40s. But they had a pretty good run at the 2022 FIFA World Cup, where they surprisingly got out of the group stage and went to the knockout round of 16 before they lost to Messi in Argentina. But they put up a hell of a fight, and they've skyrocketed into the mid-20s since. Now, this last winter, December of 23 into January of 24, in the AFC Asian Cup, they kind of had a pedestrian Asian Cup, considering the fact that they are the 4th best, like in terms of rankings, the 4th best country in Asia. They lost in the quarterfinals to South Korea in extra time, if you will, because they went down a man. But it's kind of ho-hum. They haven't had any, like, they have players all the time. But yeah, P24, they good for them. They play a good style of football, if you will. And it gets the job done. Just go ask Denmark about that. So, yeah. P24. And now this is going to be a fudge that I'm about to do, because if anything in Australia, Australian football, it's more about the women than the men. And another thing too. So, they do have the A-League. The Australian A-League is their footballing Premier League, is their best league. But I mean, dang gum. It is a, I mean, I say dang gum, because compared to like the English Premier League or the Bundesliga or La Liga, it's not the best. But it's in terms of producing talent, it's not that bad. There's actually a guy who was in the A-League. He's going to go to Bayern Munich and continue his career over there. So good for him. But on to the next point I was about to say. Women. Yeah, like I said, if anything, it's more about women's football in Australia than the men. The Roos, if you will. They're actually number 12 in the FIFA rankings for the women. And they will, I mean, heck, they will relatively higher. Like, in terms of a couple of years ago, like, literally, at around this point last year, they were in the top 10. And then the FIFA World Cup happened and it kind of didn't go their way. But they're still number 12. And it's led by probably the best football player. So I just told you about how the men doesn't really have a superstar. The women do. And her name is Sam Cole. The fine Australian striker who plays in the English Barclays Super League for the mighty Chelsea Blues. One of the best goal scorers of her generation. One of the best women players in the world. A true marksman, a true striker, appeal number 9. She leads the line for the Roos. You know, you can see they're just behind the Netherlands and ahead of Denmark. 2 really good soccer nations too. So they've done really good for themselves, and especially in the AFC, they just dog walk the field. Except for the obvious of Japan, but still. In comparison to the rest of the comp, they kind of just dog them. So now we got the football out of the way. Now we just transition to the net. If you don't know what we do, we transition now to the next part of the segment, which is facts about the country that we're in, just in general. So, Australia, if you don't know, I feel like this is common knowledge, but so us Americans and Europeans, for that matter, is on the northern hemisphere. Australia is on the southern hemisphere. So what that means is our seasons are backwards. So, like, we are recording right now in the middle of June. So it is just about, so it's getting hot over here, and summer is in full bloom. In Australia, it is the winter, and it is cold, and it's bundle up season instead of tops off season. But let's just get straight into it, because when I was doing my research here, there was a good amount of facts that I found genuinely interesting to me. So we're going to start with, I thought, the wildest fact we've had up to this point. And it's the fact that Australia was founded by delinquents. Yeah, you heard that right. Founded by a bunch of delinquents. It was originally a British penal colony in the late 1700s. The British colonizers arrived in New South Wales, bringing with them delinquents meant to live in Australia as punishment. As it turned out, Australia Day, which is celebrated on January the 26th, honors the first arrival of the prisoners to Port Jackson. even the country's first police force was made up of the most well-behaved convicts. That is wild. Imagine serving a punishment and literally 200 to 300 years later, it's one of the most recognizable countries in the land. You love to see it. Again, this is another wild one that I found. It is that an Australian man actually is credited for inventing the word selfie, which you love to see it. In 2002, an Australian man by the name of Nathan Hope coined the term selfie after he posted a photo of his busted lip online after a night out drinking with the boys. In an online forum, Hope said, "I had a hole about 1 centimeter long right through my bottom lip, and sorry about the focus, it was a selfie." Thus coining the now famous term that everyone does almost every day. Clearly Hope was onto something, as in 2013 Oxford Dictionaries named selfie its word of the year. And yet 2013 was the year that it really took to new heights. Number 3, the next one. So I've said a couple of times that it's the land of the kangaroo, but there's also another animal you need to think about, and it's the fact that there are more kangaroo and sheep on the island. And yes, it's technically an island, but there are more kangaroo and sheep than people in Australia. Australia is the most sparsely populated continent in the world with approximately 24 million residents. But that's not it. There are twice the amount of kangaroo and 3 times the amount of sheep. Yes, sheep. Unfortunately, to curb the kangaroo and sheep population, eating kangaroo meat has become commonplace, while sheep are used for meat as well as their wool for decorations. That is sad that they can't live out their life, but I mean, that's just sad. But you gotta do what you gotta do, right? You gotta do what you gotta do. The next fact, number 4. And this is really cool as we get into the grass. Oh, as we get really loose. But this is really cool what I'm about to say. Aboriginal culture is the oldest culture on Earth, and that is wild. Dating back some 50,000 years. Dating back some 50,000 years, the Aboriginals are considered the world's oldest civilization. Australia's indigenous people now make up only 3% of the population, but traces of culture and tradition can still be seen in pockets of rural Australia as Verstappen goes by and we go a lap down. Uluru, formerly known as Ayers Rock, is believed to have been created by ancestral beings and is one of the most sacred places for the Aboriginal people, which is really cool. Really, really cool. And then finally, and this just shows you what the time it was back then, this 5th and final fact that I'm about to say, and that was Melbourne was once the richest city in the world. When gold was discovered in Victoria around the 1850s, about the same time as the gold rush in the States, the capital of Melbourne was transferred from a small port town into the richest city in the world. And by the 1880s, Melbourne was christened Marvelous Melbourne. The region's gold rush history can still be seen at Ballarat, home to Sovereign Hill, and in Melbourne's elegant Victorian architecture. Today, Melbourne is, unfortunately, some cities around the world has caught up to them, but Melbourne is one of the world's most livable cities, famous for its coffee culture and abundant street art. So that is just some facts about Australia and just some things to think about if you decide to go over there. Yes, it seems like it's a really cool place to live at for sure. So as we transition back to this race just a bit, as you saw, we did get lapped. Esteban Ocon did DNF out of this race, which is kind of a blessing because I didn't want to finish last. And as you see, as we work lap 28 of 29, since we got lapped, unfortunately, this is the last lap of our race. And I can't say that I'm not sad about it, I'll say that. Because I will say there was one positive about this second half stretch. And if you noticed, so it started out at 18.5, right? Between me and Jono. We cut in 4.5 seconds into that gap. And now that we got lapped, I mean, we kind of had to lose some time. But so we got it down to about 4.5 seconds. Which is good. And of course, I didn't think we was going to be as fast as K-Mag and Sargent up there, but we kind of maintained a level, steady gap. I'll say that. As we get loose. One more time. As we're going to come across the finish line. Right here, finally. And we're going to get P21. Wait, what? P20? Well, I'll be damned. Even when we don't finish, we finish in P20. So what happened? Now I'm curious. What in the heck happened here? But yeah, Mad Max dominated like he always does, and congrats to him. Fair play. He won by 10 seconds. So yeah, what happened? How did I finish P... That'd do it. Gasly DNF'd on the last lap of the race. Wild. Alright. So we take a P20. That's 3 P20s in a row. Just so we're on the page here. And as you can see here, we completed way more than 10 laps of practice, so we get our bonus. Wild. But now we've got some points, and we've got money to play with. After 3 P20s in a row, all of our material looks good. As we head over to the table, P21 and P22. You love to see it. But I will say, at least, like, if you notice, there's only 6 constructors that have attained points. 7, I take it back. 7 of the 11 has attained points. So we're not getting skunked. But again, we'll try to be better, boys. And we'll try to be better in Japan for the next race. But this is that. As we're going to end it right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I hope you all have a good day. And I'll see y'all for the next one. Peace out.